Welcome to the First Lady Point of View show, everyone. I'm your host, the First Lady Felicia K. This is where you can expect culture, music, news, reviews, fashion, and exclusive interviews. So stick around. After this, we got one of those exclusives coming up.
It's the First Lady Point of View. First Lady Point of View. It's the First Lady Point of View.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm excited about today's guest, so I'm not going to hold you. We're going to get right in. I got none other than Harrison Anderson on the show for Melanated Fathers of America. So here he is. Welcome to the show, King. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Felicia K. Thank you for having me. So it's a long time coming.
I know, right? I'm excited to have you on. Tell everybody where you're from
Okay.
and what made you start Melanated Fathers of America and exactly what it is.
Definitely. So I'm here. I'm a resident of Sacramento. I was born and raised in Sacramento by way of Louisiana. My family from Louisiana, like most of us, right?
Yeah, right, from the South.
Yeah, so in 2016, I started an organization called Melanated Fathers of America. Now, the main reason, Felicia, was based on my experience as a father. So I'm a 42-year-old man who had 4 kids by the age of 22 years old, you know what I mean? Okay. So understanding the harsh reality of starting your family that early, growing up in a black community where some of us didn't have resources. Yeah. So all of the pitfalls I had to go through starting my family that early. Later in life, I started reading books about history and just getting a better perspective of like where I stand in this world, you know what I mean? So from there, I began interviewing fathers. The main goal when I first started was to interview fathers who've been through things like me, to give the world and our community and our women a good perspective of what we go through from our perspective, right? Because a lot of times we are very compassionate about our women when they are going through things in relationships or in life, which we should be, but our men go through a lot as well, especially with all the systemic issues that black men have to go through. So I started this platform where I was interviewing fathers just online. It was no talking at all. I would transcribe the interview, put it on my website, which was Melanated Fathers at the time, and I continued to do that. From there, I decided, okay, I want to go out, because the online stuff was good, but I wanted to go out to the community and kind of make my footprint there as well. So from there, we started doing a Father's Day softball game every Father's Day. We do something for Thanksgiving. We fed people during the pandemic. So there is an organizational part of it where we go out into the community and help out the best we can. From there, it just evolved into me talking. I said, okay, I'm gonna take these interviews. Maybe they wanna hear me speak. Yeah. So I went to changing it into a podcast platform. So today, we stand at Melanated Convo Podcast is the name of the platform. Melanated Fathers of America is what we do for the community. The Melanated Convo Podcast is me talking to my people about all the things we go through.
Okay. The separation, that you answered that question before I got into it, and I thank you for that, because I was thinking, when you changed the name of the podcast, I noticed it went from Melanated Fathers to Melanated Convo, and it's all spectrums of the melanated community. I've actually even been on the podcast.
Yes, you have.
So, yeah, that's dope that you do that, and I really enjoy the topics, and so that is setting me up for where I'm gonna go with it. What today's topic is about. Back in March of 2022, one of your topics that you had on the show, you talked about an 11-year-old boy with autism down in Texas who was, I'm not going to just say bullied, although the name of this segment is bullying. I'm going to say he was assaulted by a much bigger classmate while 3 adult administrators looked on. And then later on down the line, you did another podcast episode. I'm gonna double back to that one because that one really disturbed me the most. You did another episode and you talked about, it was another young man that was being bullied, and it was just only because, and he didn't have a disability, it was because he basically was saying he didn't know how to stand up for himself. And then you said, and this is one of the reasons why I say it's so important for fathers to be involved, not just for the male children, but with their children in general, but especially males, because maybe if he had that male aspect in his life, he would know how to stand up for himself, right? So now, I know it didn't really, it kind of does go with the gentleman, the little boy in Texas, because you stated that both his parents were gone, and the grandmother was raising him by herself. Am I correct about that?
Yep.
If that's the same. Okay. Now, how do you feel that would have went? Now I'm finna double. This is gonna be a little tricky because the boy with autism, he's defenseless, basically just based on the disposition with the disability, right? Do you think that it was something lacking in the bully's home? Because, see, I think it goes both ways. I think you got to address it from the bully's perspective, too. First of all, I agree with you 100% when you said he should be charged with assault. But the rage in him.
Definitely.
When I watched that and how he didn't let up. He even kicked him in the head while he was down. That spoke to something at home to me. Definitely. It definitely speaks to something at home, and it's two sides to it, just like you said. So from the bully's perspective, as parents, and this is something we all deal with, right? You have to be completely in tune with your children's temperament. Like, because of everything that goes on nowadays with all the different options that the children have to be distracted, whether it be TV, whether it be a video game, I think some of us, all races of parents, fall victim to just allowing their kids to live their life without stepping in. Going in the room, seeing what's up with them, seeing what they have on the computer, seeing the different things that they're into. And sometimes, or to me, most of the time, it's the parent's job to step in and say, you know what, maybe this kid needs to play sports. Maybe this kid, because of all the incidents they're going through, maybe I need to try to get them some sort of help. It's really your job to step in. Now, you can do all of that and still have a kid that feels the need to bully people from now and then. But what we seen was a little different. Like, it went overboard, right? And what I like to highlight, like my whole show, the Melanated Convo podcast, I'm always talking from a perspective of my people, right? So I don't like racialized incidents either, because our babies, the children, all of our children, we always say this and it's cliche, but they're really the future. So if I see all of the racialized incidents going on with the adults, and then I see the children acting the same way, I say, okay, something has to change. Like, we need to begin having conversations with our children about race. People like to tell me all the time, they DM me and send me information telling me they don't see color. That's a misnomer. That's the first thing you see when you see someone. And everything. It's on job applications. It's on rental agreements. It's on when you're trying to get a loan for a home. When you're trying to get a credit card. Come on. We see race. So we need to identify why we feel a particular way about a race of people. When we look at the history of this country and how we've been treated in particular, a lot of things have happened that have caused our disenfranchisement. But I think anyone outside of our community, you got to do the knowledge. And you got to speak about these things with an open mind and get an understanding of what we've been through. But just in general, I feel bad when I see our babies getting treated that way. And I gotta stop, you know what I mean? That one was really disturbing, and I noticed that you did cut it at the halftime. But I got why you cut it at the halftime. You said, you know what, I'm gonna leave this alone because it's making me feel away. And you know, I do feel like some people say, well, if a child is going to be a bully or get bullied, it don't have nothing to do with whether or not there's a man in the home or a man in their lives. I don't agree with that. I feel like most things you need both, right? Because there's certain things that a woman can't teach, and there's certain things that a man can't teach. We're different. We think different. We move different. And I just feel like people overlook that component because we've gotten so complacent with, that's a single mom. Oh yeah, he's a mama's boy. This, that, and the third. When really, I do feel like you hit the nail right on the head, that some of these things could be curbed if these young men had a man in their life. And your father could be deceased, whatever the case may be, but a male presence, whether it is Big Brother program, an uncle, a cousin, a pastor, you do need that male presence, especially as a young man. I really agree with that. Just like I said, I think what disturbed me more than anything, I was disturbed by the adults that was just standing around, and then there was a man there that kind of stepped in, but he seemed almost scared of the boy too. And it still goes back to what was going on with this bully, that even the adults seemed scared of it. Like that man was bigger than him, but he seemed scared of it. That baffled me. Definitely, and I think
just to go back to something you said a few minutes ago, I think what we look at, because we all know that when we look at the statistics, like black homes in America, 70-something% of these homes do not have fathers. Keep it in mind, like I like to be contextual, that's not keeping in consideration the fathers who don't live in the home, but are active.
Present, right?
Because
Absolutely.
there has been studies proving that we are probably the most active parents in our kids' lives, right? But even with that being said, we still need more fathers in the home. When I was a kid, 8 out of 10 of my friends didn't have fathers in the home. So what we're looking at this point is like a normalized level of trauma.
Right.
Where we attempt to have children, not even considering the fact if the father is going to be there or not, because we didn't have one or we didn't see one. So we don't see the benefit from it. But coming from a man who has a child in my home and had to raise kids outside of my home, every home should have a father in. That should be the goal when we start our relationships. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree. This is going to be a curveball a little bit, but we're talking about the importance of having fathers in the home. So I'm going to take it to another level real quick. I noticed that everybody says, well, with the Nick Cannon situation, you're having baby number 10, right? It's so many, I could go into so many layers why this whole thing is not a good look. But I will say this, the thing that disturbs me the most about it is how everybody says, well, he has the money to take care of all of them. When you're talking about children, it's bigger than money. He can't be there for all of them kids equally and fairly and impartially. That's just the reality. So as far as nurturing and what children need from a parent, some of those kids gonna go lacking. That's the reality, and I don't think nobody really is taking that part of it so as serious. Is, okay, yeah, he has money, but it's only one him. So how do you navigate that? What do you think? I know people been having multiple kids since the beginning of time, but I would think in this day and age, right, especially with the way the state of the world is, I would think that more people would look at it like, no, it's bigger than him having money.
See, I'm a big fan of Nick Cannon.
Me too. I love him.
Like that's my brother, right? But he needs to, and this is what I would say, like men in that situation need to take a step back and look how creating that mentality, how that's going to affect all young men. Because again, we do have too many homes that don't have fathers. Yes, money will put him in a situation where he can buy things. He can put them in positions to be great or whatever the case may be. But it's real simple. A father in the home is better than one that isn't.
Simple.
So I even take it to another level. Let's say you are a man like Nick Cannon who has to travel, who has to go around the world. If your kid knows you coming back home to their home, there's a comfort in that.
There is.
Right?
Absolutely.
So there's a comfort in knowing your father's going to come home, and that's it basically.
Because
he'll be able to fund college. They won't lack for anything. These are all true statements, right?
Right.
But kids need a father in the home, and then this is something I've had to deal with. Then you're dealing with different type of mentality. So you have one home where a mom thinks you got to do it this way. Bedtime is 8:30 here.
Right.
Bedtime is 9:30 here. So you're getting all these conflicting pieces of information. And then when you bring the kids together, you're going to have to kind of formulate how all these things are breaking down. So really, at the end of the day, it causes confusion. And let's just say Nick Cannon was doing this quietly, right? We would possibly have things to say that we didn't like or whatever. But the fact that he's promoting it, that's my only problem, is he's promoting, I'm not going to be in a relationship, I'm going to have a child. And a young man who looks up to Nick Cannon, that's a bad look, because the young man looking up to Nick Cannon may already not have a father. So he thinking, I can be like Nick Cannon. All I got to do is have money. I can have a whole bunch of kids. I can take care of them. If you're in a position where you end up having kids from different women by happenstance, meaning I'm in love with her and it don't work, me and her tried it and it don't work, that's normal America. That's normal in America. But to say, hey, I'm shooting for 10, 11, 12 kids, I think you're doing a disservice to the children, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And he was perfect to bring up, because I know one of his children, his son by Mariah Carey, his oldest son. There was a situation that went on where he was being bullied by people on Instagram. And he had to assert himself and stand up for himself, you know? And I thought, okay, now I'm sitting back waiting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. His dad gonna make a post. His dad gonna say something. His dad gonna do a video. Never happened. His mom actually said something later on. And that still goes back to, so you having them, but are you preparing them for life?
And there's a residual effect to everything we do as parents. I had kids from different women, And a different side of it, when they became 12, 13 years old, they had to deal with it in school.
Right.
Hey, they saying y'all ghetto twins.
Right.
Hey, y'all got different mamas. This was something I wasn't even thinking about.
That's bullying, though.
But of course, kids are going to have to. So these are all things you need to think about.
Then that's why he was perfect
children.
to bring up, is
Yes.
because now you're setting them kids up for a whole nother level of bullying.
Yes.
You got to think about. See, this is the thing, people take it for granted. They don't stay little and cute forever, right? They grow up. They become teenagers. They go through these changes where they hearing things and they're trying to figure it out. What's what's true? Well, you didn't love my mom wasn't enough. Well, what's going on? Well, why you have another baby with so-and-so after you had me? Well, was it a competition? Well, you went to so-and-so's recital, you didn't go to mine. And then your kids are getting, like I said, the internet is dangerous. It's a blessing in some senses, but it's dangerous in others. Because then you got to deal with the kids going through when they get older. Well, what was your dad thinking? Why he got all them kids? And then he got them by Instagram models that ain't got nothing going on. At least my mom was a celebrity. My mom is this one. Or at least my mom, you got all of those components that go with that. So, like I said, it's all a form of bullying at the end of the day.
And I give Nick Cannon a little bit of credit. I know a lot of brothers who spread their seed religiously without having resources. So I'll give him that. He did put himself in a position resource-wise where he can do certain things for him. But ultimately, the question is, does a child fare better living in the home with their parents or not? It's simple.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
That's it. Well, we're going to get more into this topic. We got layers, man. I'm telling you. See, it's interesting talking to this brother. Y'all know I've been telling y'all we got all these topics that I've like, we got to talk about with Harrison, but this one we got to get into is so many levels. I hope you guys are enjoying it so far, but we got to take a break right now. So stick around. We'll be right back after this with Harrison Anderson talking about bullying. All right?
It's the first lady point of view.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Welcome back to the show, everyone. I want to thank you all for joining. We have none other than Harrison Anderson of the Melanated Fathers of America and the Melanated Podcast, the Melanated Convo podcast. I got a little twisted there because I'm so excited about the dialogue today. It's been a long time coming, so I'm not going to hold you guys. We're going to get right back into it. We're talking with him today about the importance of fathers being in their children's lives and bullying. They go hand in hand, believe it or not. So yeah, Harrison, like I was asking you about, we were talking a little bit about Nick Cannon, and I'm going to just say it from my point of view, the recklessness of his selfish decision to have so many children by multiple women, and not saying that it's anything wrong with being fruitful, right? That's in the Bible, I get it, right? But when you're doing it, like you said, recklessly, and for the reason of saying, I don't have any intention on being with the mothers, but I'm gonna have as many children as I can. The repercussions of that when it comes to the children who do have to eventually grow up, be in the world, go to school, go to work. And then in this day and age, we got a bigger beast, right? That they all got access to, and that's the internet. And the trolling, if you will. And some of it pushes these kids to a whole nother level. See, then it could get bigger than bullying. We was going over statistics recently about just in 2022 alone, just in the state of California, how many suicides there were in regards to bullying with children under the age of 10. The numbers were disturbing. And when you think about it in that retrospect, and I know people say, but those kids are rich, but those are usually the kids that have the most turmoil, because you already got one thing that's going to work against them is whenever their parent that's a celebrity mess up, it's in the public eye and people will target the kids. That's just the reality. It's sad, but it's true, right? Well, your mom did this or your dad did that. No different than if our kids, we were to do something, our kids would get the butt end of it. But at the same time, these kids are on a different platform. It's bigger than that. So do you feel like he's not taking that part of it in consideration, or do you think it might just be a thing of the selfishness of it all? Like, I don't really care.
Well, I think and I don't know the brother, and I can't speak for him, but I would think he's living in his world. You know what I mean? I think Nick Cannon has been successful in life. I think whenever you have a person who's successful in all their endeavors, they embark on different situations with the same mentality.
Yeah.
So my biggest problem with that is the young kids watching. Because again, I know a lot of men with several children, but it does not end up that way. They have several children. They didn't take the time to garner enough resources, so they're really behind the 8 ball. They don't have the money to properly fund the life of these children, because if you think about it, all of our children should be going to college. All of our kids should have some sort of say. You should plan as much as you can for the arrival of your child. And a lot of this just starts with building up who you are in your career, whatever that may be. You know what I mean? So I just don't like the message that he sends, because one thing we got to realize about celebrities that I think they're in a different world. They're in a different tax bracket, how they view the world, how they live their lives day to day. They're looking at things completely differently, but being a big celebrity, and we know how black culture appreciates all of our celebrities. So the children watching Nick Cannon, the people watching Nick Cannon, that becomes the problem to me, because people may try to duplicate that without the resources or the know-how. And the bottom line, kids should be in the house with their parents.
I agree, 100%.
Yep.
What do you feel that a father could teach a child about? Do you think it's as far as the bullying, do you think that it's a matter of self-esteem or knowing how to stand up for themselves, or or do you think it's a little bit of both?
It's all that. It's confidence.
Okay.
It's confidence. You have a little boy. Growing up, my kids, and I said this on the show, I would put my kids in karate. Like, I'm not knocking any karate companies here in Sacramento, but my personal opinion, you should put your child in boxing. You should put your child in boxing, some sort of hand-to-hand combat thing. And none of this is to be violent, but you should put them in a position where they get used to using their hands, and make them confident. Give them positive affirmations. Talk to them. Give them a high self-esteem. Make sure they're clean. Make sure they brush their teeth. Make sure you talk to them enough that they have social skills to talk to kids the right way, to combat things when they hear it, and talk to you. Right. So if a kid is messing with them to the point where they may have to fight them, maybe they come to you. And again, I'm not pushing violence or condoning violence in any by any stretch of the imagination. But at the end of the day, every human should know how to defend themselves.
Yeah,
we just seen a video of a friend of mine actually where his son was hit in the head with like a fire extinguisher at his school. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So children are doing certain things, but you have to put your kids in a position mentally. Like, we have this thing as parents sometimes where we don't want to talk about all the ills that are going on in the society. Not in 2022. You better talk to your kids.
Better have that conversation, right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. You know, it's just interesting because there's so many ways we could go with and like I said, I know it's going to be some dads out there that's going to say, well, why is she targeting us when we're talking about bullying? It's not just about the dads. It's about every parent being a part of your child's life and knowing what's going on. That is important.
Mm-hmm.
That is vital.
Mm-hmm.
That is vital. You have to know what's going on with your children. You have to ask the questions. You have to know what they're doing online. You got to make sure you're a part. And another thing that you said, was some point you got to believe your child too when they say something about a school. That old school mentality, the adult is always right over the child, that's some BS, because adults lie too, sometimes more than kids. Why? Because they understand the importance of lying might get me out of something, right? So, you know, I just feel like it just all goes hand in hand, and the whole gist of it was, if a father had been involved in this case, we can't really say the victim as much as the bully's life, because I didn't get that vibe. Because like I said, he didn't respect male authority because the male adult was scared of him. That was very apparent.
It's just all about putting your kids in the best position to be successful. And the
There
thing
it is right there.
There are children, and people always make this. People online a few weeks ago was telling me, when I think Young Thug mentioned something about you shouldn't have kids when you're broke, right? This was he said it in a shock value type of way, but there's credence to that. You should try to prepare yourself before having children. Now, we know we've gotten LeBron Jameses and different type of astonishing individuals who had single parents, but I think that's a rarity. I think most people who have a single parent, there are struggles in baggage that comes with that. There's traumas that come with that, and that continues throughout your life. You know what I mean?
And even he might not tell us all his business, and he don't have to, but he has some struggles with that. That's just the reality, right? Without you need that male presence. Yeah, he's successful, but a part of your drive, I'm gonna show the world, was the lack of the male presence. Shaq was one of the only athletes that I know that admitted that. So we're gonna get ready to wrap it up. It went by so quick, man. I mean, that 30 minutes be flying. We're gonna have to do this again. We're gonna get into this conversation, you guys, again. But as of right now, Harrison, I want you to tell everybody how they can get involved with you and the Melanated Fathers of America and the Melanated Convo podcast and your social sites, your websites, and everything. Tell everybody about that.
Definitely. So my podcast, the Melanated Convo podcast, can be found on YouTube at the Melanated Convo. You can find the show on all the digital platforms as well. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all these different places. If you go to the melanatedconvo.com is the website where you can find all the latest shows. That website, you'll also be able to find any event that we have coming up. I think our next event will be Thanksgiving. So you can find all my events there. I post daily about everything that I'm doing. So if you want to be involved with anything that I'm doing, help out, comment, give information, I'm always willing. You can find me on social media at Melanated Convo 100 is my social media handle. And I appreciate being here with you today, sister.
Man, I thank you for coming. We could have used some more time, but it is what it is. That 30 minutes, man, we get it in. I want to thank you all for tapping in with the kid. And as always, reach back for those that are coming up behind you and pay homage to those who did it before you. You'll feel good about yourself, and it's free. It's as simple as that, man. We're going to do it all over again. So make sure you check those social sites so you'll know when and how you can be involved with the show. Until next time, thank you for tuning in with the kid. Peace, well, love. May God bless your hustle. We out of here.
It's the First Lady point of view. You tuned in. First Lady point of view. It's the First Lady point of view. Tapped in, yeah, we always on time. First Lady Felicia K on the line. Wanna know what's poppin'? Tap in for the scoop on all the hot topics. The latest fashion, new music reviews. The hottest artists and exclusive interviews. You came to the right spot. First Lady on deck, keep it locked. Keep it locked. Keep it locked. Tuned in. First Lady point of view. First Lady point of view. You tuned in. It's the First Lady point of view. First Lady point of view. Culture, music, news, reviews. You tuned in. It's the First Lady point of view. You tuned in. First Lady point of view.
It's the First Lady point of view.